Hi. The title kind of says it all, but at the end, when I did more research, I found out something really interesting about this whole topic, and I will talk about it right at the end. But for now, enjoy the video.
Back live with you on court number 1 here in Miami as we jump into the second game of Karin Khachanov serving top of your screen against Italy's Yannick Sinner, Brett Haber, Martina Navratilova, our entire Tennis Channel team on the grounds of Hard Rock Stadium. Karin Khachanov, the 24-year-old Russian, ranked 22 in the world. A 4-time winner on the ATP World Tour. Yannick Sinner, just 19, joined this week by his countryman Musetti as one of 2 teenagers in the top 100, and they're both Italian.
And that little pickup that Sinner did on that half volley, this is why we like him. He's a tall, lanky guy. He's got power, moves well, and he's got soft hands as well. He's very creative on the court. Fun to watch.
Out! Both of these guys seeded. Sinner 21, Khachanov 14, so they both got the first round bye. Sinner took out the wild card from France, Hugo Gaston. Khachanov beat the former USC Trojan, Yannick Hanfmann. And here they are meeting in round 3. Khachanov, just a pretty big basher, isn't he?
Oh, he's a strong guy, but he's got soft hands as well. He's pretty good at the net, although he would much rather stay on the baseline. I mean, most of these guys are over 6'3", so they all got a pretty big weapon for the serve.
Rallies in this one going to be slightly longer than the Isner-Felix match.
Well, these guys are a lot better at returning, but again, the serves are not as hard. We'll see a few of these rallies.
Khachanov is 6'6", and has all the power you'd expect with that frame, pretty close to 200 pounds.
I think if I was building the perfect male body for tennis, it would be between 6'4" and 6'6". You're gonna get over that, it can get a little too difficult to move around and be quick enough, especially hitting low balls. It's just a long way down. And anything below 6'4", now you're giving up too much.
Break point center. All right, so Khachanov had a break point in the opening game. Sinner saved it. Now the opposite. Sinner already a winner this year on the Great Ocean Road 250 warm-up to the Australian Open start of the year. And Martina, he beat Khachanov in this, have a recent history against one another, and it was a tight history.
Yeah, Sinner doesn't have much history with anybody since he's pretty new on the tour. But it's really funny how some rivalries develop, and you know that when these two people are going to play, it's going to be a battle. And on the other, killer rivalries develop or not, depending on the matchups. mental state, etc. We've seen more ground strokes in this one game than we did the whole match between Isner and Felix Auger-Aliassime. I keep talking about that match because I've seen it a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the tennis world. I've never seen a match where there was not one break point.
Really?
Maybe I just haven't done that many men's matches.
Or
but
maybe you just
still,
haven't done that many Isner matches.
But you have. True that. You've done a bunch, right?
Yeah,
So you've seen it before.
I think I've called more Isner matches than any other player. But, yeah.
That was a big opportunity for Sinner. But the ball was hanging low. Nice slice from Kachanov. Drawing the air with the wind. When the ball is that low, it's really hard to bring it back down again. And then you try to whip it more. So you speed it up and then create the mishit.
The camera guy? Okay. It's okay, Khan. Thank you.
There's 5.5 people here, and one of them is creating a problem.
Mm-hmm. So in the entire Isner-Felix match, we had 6 points that went over 9 balls. That was already the third of this match in game 2.
It is amazing.
Another one erased by Hachinov. Well, if we can't identify the coaches with the masks on, we're definitely not going to be able to identify them with the mask and the towel over the head.
No idea. Meantime, at this pace, this is going to be a 6-hour match.
Fair enough. Oh, from wide of the tram line, Sinner. Hard cross-court forehand.
Guy is quick. He moves well. And again, good outside foot here to stay open to the court and can rip it cross-court. I expected it down the line. So did Kachanov. Another break point. Was it number 5? Number 4?
4.
Kachanov will have hit about as many serves in one game as Isner did in a set. I mean, I keep going back to that match, but the contrast is just so huge.
Wow.
Wake me up when this game is over, please. 10 minutes. We're going to hit about 12 minutes if somebody wins the next 2 points.
Catch up.
Khachanov ranked 22 in the world, but he's the third ranked Russian at the moment. Medvedev 2, Rublev 8, and out of the clear blue sky, Aslan Karatsev is on his heels. He's up to 27. So after a bit of a dry spell for Russian men's tennis anyway, all of a sudden an embarrassment of riches with a bunch of young guys, early to mid-20s, all in the top 30.
Karatsev is the surprise of the year. So far, it'll be hard for somebody to overtake him. It's the shooting star that he's been so far. That's great hustle from Sinner. He's lanky and he's long. He's using that whole arm on those shots, stretching wide twice to the forehand and then running back and hitting the pass well enough to draw the error. Khachanov, again, not that comfortable at the net. And break point number 5 now.
7 deuces, 5 break chances.
This could be the turning point of the match.
In game 2.
Second game of the match.
First ace for either guy.
This first game is taking as much time as the average amount of time Steffi Graf took to win a set.
Does it mean more to a player to get a game that lasts this long, or is it just another game?
Yeah, no, it does become a more of a backbreaker when you lose it, and relief and confidence perhaps if you win it. It depends on who's serving, who's returning. But anytime a game is this long, it definitely takes on more importance. Especially if it turns into a break.
Would you believe deuce number 9?
There were some suggestions that we should count like 40 all deuce, right? And then it should be 50-40 and 60-50. So you can keep track how many deuces, and then, you know, when the score is like 130 to 120, it would really take on a whole new meaning.
Interesting.
I don't think it would take too long to call the score.
Short of that, we will keep track for you. 6th break chance coming.
And when you have this many break point opportunities, you really want to convert. So this would be more of a backbreaker for Sinner to lose the game than for Khachanov to lose the game, even though it would be a service break.
By Freddie Rosengren, the Swede, has done some work with fellow Russian Nikolai Davydenko in the past year or two. Seventh break point.
Oh, he got out of trouble with that forehand. Had an easier backhand, quote unquote easier, but still on the run. Makes the error. That was a big opportunity for Sinner.
17.
Of course, there was that one women's match that took like 6.5 hours, and it was a two-set match.
I should have known. I should have anticipated.
I mean, there were some points that lasted like 5 minutes, so I forget the two players that were playing. It was back in the 80s. Literally, it was 6.5 hour match, and it was like 6-4, 7-6 or something. Nobody could put the ball away. But this particular game is just ridiculously long.
In 1975, at the Grass Court Championships in Surbiton, outside of London, Anthony Fawcett and Keith Glass played 37 deuces in a game.
Wow. We got a long way to go. Break point number 8. Thank goodness.
How about that for Yannick Sinner? Worth the effort. Nearly 20 minutes, and he gets the break. Just one unforced error in that entire final set.
Well, when I was watching this match, I asked myself, what is the longest game in the history? And I obviously went on online and did a little bit of research. And as normal, I don't look at just one source. I look at several sources. But then the name that came up was this match in 1975 with Anthony Fawcett. Now, I know a Tony Fawcett, and I know him as a tennis player, and he was from Zimbabwe, but I did not know that he actually played professional tennis. And he was so humble and such a nice guy that he never really spoke about himself. And it is the same Anthony Fawcett that I know from Zimbabwe that holds this record, this world record, as the longest game in the history of tennis. That was in 1975 on May 26, and that was a tournament in England, in Surrey, and it was the first round against Keith Glass, I think, Keith Glass and Anthony Fawcett, and this is the longest game since they started the whole deuce system in the 1970s. I think it was 1970. Nobody really knows the date, but it was between 70 and 73, right around there. That's when they started the deuce system. And he holds the record, and nobody's beaten that record. It lasted 31 minutes, 37 deuces, and they played 80 points. And it was with Anthony Fawcett from Zimbabwe. They called it Rhodesia back then. It became Zimbabwe in 1980. And when he played this match in 1975, it was still called Rhodesia. And I taught his son, Matthew. And Matthew played college tennis in California, and he's since graduated, and he got married, and it's been a long, long time. So this was a very long time ago. This literally is when I started teaching tennis, and I think I'd been teaching tennis for about a year, and I was honored that Tony would actually ask me to teach his son, and it was so much fun because he had a grass tennis court in his backyard. One of the very few people if not the only person that I know in Zimbabwe that actually had a grass tennis court. And Tony Fawcett, and if you're watching this and you're from Zimbabwe, you would know Fawcett Securities. He owned the biggest company in Zimbabwe, a security company, and I think they had branches in South Africa as well, most of Southern Africa, Fawcett Securities, and that was Matthew's dad, Anthony Fawcett, and he actually holds the record for the longest game in the history of tennis, 1975. 26 May, and it was 80 points, 37 deuces, 31 minutes against Keith Glass of Great Britain. How about that? Tennis is such a small world. All right, Matthew, when you watch this, say hi to your dad. And Anthony, if you're watching this, this was so much fun to watch this, to see this. I hope you're doing well, and I hope the family is doing well. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. All right, bye.